What's going on, folks? Ted from Nerd Immersion here, and if you're a fan of Eberron, do I have a video for you. So Keith Baker just released today Dread Metrol Into the Mists. This is a new domain of Dread set within the world of Eberron that can either be used as a standalone campaign setting or as a linkage to link your other Eberron campaign to the greater mists of Ravenloft, or, mix and match however you want to do it. It is, again, I'll have an affiliate link to this in the description below. This was provided to me for review purposes. However, no money or anything changed hands, so this opinion is my own. But if you recall my review of Exploring Eberron, these are high-quality products that will sometimes provide you a lot more information than you'd ever get from WotC. So here it is on the DMs Guild. Again, I'll have an affiliate link, so if you are kind enough to purchase it via that link, we'll get a small bit of monetary compensation there. So here it is. Again, you can see there are 3 different versions. There's a high quality zip file full of all of the different maps, which can be used obviously for in this adventure, but they're generic enough that you can use them in any adventure. And what I really like is 2 separate PDFs. One is Into the Mists, the sort of actual adventure module in the greater piece, and then there's a player edition, which has the new character options as well as all of the lore for the realm, if you'd like to give that to your players so they can read up on it. But it might seem like they're the same, but they are not. There are drastic differences even between through what seems like the lore bits. You'll have tables and different things to roll on in the DM version that you won't have in the player version. So if we scroll down, you can see it right here. There's a bunch of different stuff here. There's the level 1 to 4 adventure called The Morning After. There is a bunch of new monsters as well as a brand new artificer subclass that involves sort of body modification and in place, changing parts of your body out for tech. See, here's one of the new burster bugs here. Only 2 discussions at the point of me making this review, but either way, we'll just refresh this page in case things have changed. It's already a best copper seller in the time it took me to re-record my original video because the audio was screwed up. All right, so let's go over here. First of all, Keith and team gets a big bonus from me, full articulated bookmarks that give you everything you want to know, so you don't have to hunt and peck through the document. We live in a modern era. This should be a standard practice across the board. All right, so we can see here we have Dread Metrol. We have the same little kind of blurbs we got from Van Richten's, who the Darklord is, what the genres are, the hallmarks, the mist talismans, and a little blurb about it, which is pretty much all you would get if this was a Van Richten's thing, but it's not. This is a Keith Baker product, so we're going to have a ton of in-depth and interesting lore. So it says this player edition that we have here is a player-safe companion to Dread Metrol Into the Mists. DMs are encouraged to freely share this PDF with your players. It contains player-facing information from Chapter 1 of the book, leaving out the most DM-specific information. So, and let's talk about, here's a little bit about Ravenloft in Eberron and how you can go about incorporating the 2. And then we talk about the actual domain itself. Also, the art is fantastic throughout, so I really enjoy that. We do have a whole new Darklord, Queen Danel, ruler of Metrol. She does have a full unique stat block, which, what a novel concept to give your Darklord their own unique stat block. How funny is that? Anyway, we have the different forces, and then we have a section on adventurers. I love this piece of art too, by the way. Adventurers in Metrol, and you can see there's a whole thing about customizing backgrounds to be fitting within the world of Dread Metrol, stuff about character twists, and some of them even go on to explain how you could incorporate different dark gifts from Van Richten's guide into these Ravenloft or these Ravenloft / Eberron characters here. Stuff about what your party has to lose, your player has to lose, and then the new artificer specialist, the Master Maker, which, as you can see here, this guy kind of reminds me of Cyborg from the DC universe, and that's very kind of much what this is. It is a artificer that either, whether it through necessity, through loss of limb, through adventuring, or what have you, or through and want to improve themselves via technology, replaces parts of their body with tech, and in doing so gets some pretty cool benefits. So we have tools of integration at 3rd level, heavy armor proficiency, and smith tools. And then we get new spells here: absorb elements, thunderous smite, enhance ability, lesser restoration, blinding smite, haste, freedom of movement, stone shape, banishing smite, and greater restoration. And then we have Prosthesis Expertise, which is basically, when you finish a long rest, you can touch a non-magical object and basically turn it into a prosthetic, whether it be a hand, foot, arm, leg, or so on. And it basically functions just as if you had always had that. And if you're replacing a hand, it functions like a fully functional version of your hand, but you have the ability to detach and reattach it as an action, but it can't be removed against your will. And then the Battle Fist, the other third level ability, is kind of what takes that to another level, right? So you make a prosthetic, you can make it a Battle Fist, which is a simple melee weapon that you are proficient with. And in doing so, it is also a spellcasting focus for your artificer spells. When you attack with it, you can use intelligence instead of strength. And it deals bludgeoning damage equal to a d8 plus your strength or intelligence. It's a magic weapon, but it can be infused as if it was not. And at 9th level, it goes up to 2d8. 5th level, you get extra attack. 9th level, you can either give it finesse, thrown, or reach. When you finish a long rest, you can change that property with a different weapon property. You can infuse it with 2 infusions at a time, but if they're 2 of the same kind of infusion, they don't stack. You choose whichever is higher. It functions as a shield, increasing your AC by 2. You can also, if you want to, infuse it as a weapon or a shield, and you increase the number of infusions you have by 1, but only if it's infused into that specific Battle Fist. And then lastly, at 15, you get Construct Apotheosis, which you get the following benefits, sort of replacing more of your body and taking on more of that construct-like abilities, as in getting resistance to poison and psychic damage, immunity to the poison condition. You can choose when you're affected by a spell or magical effect to be treated as a construct or a humanoid. That's your choice. And you can cast the Anti-Life Shell and Investiture of Stone spells without expending a spell slot, without having them prepared, and without material components, as long as you're using that Battle Fist that you have as the spellcasting focus. And that once you cast those spells, you can't cast them again until you finish a long rest. So then if we were to go over to the Into the Mists DM version, I'll show you a couple things. So if we were to go to, say, Horrors of War section, this table with the threats of plagues and curses, that is only available to the DM, as is the Reminders of War. I think the currencies is still there, but the suspicious behavior of the NPCs, we can go ahead and look here at Queen Danel, the Darklord of Metrol, and you can see she has her own CR15 unique stat block, which she is actually a Battle Fist or a Master Maker Artificer, and as such has sort of all of these different Battle Fist abilities as well as up to 5th level spells. They don't quantify this as mystic actions or a mythic monster, but she has this reconstructed contingency, which if she goes to 0 hit points, she gets 1, and then gets a whole slew of changing to a construct, gaining immunity to damage, 40 temporary hit points a turn, all this kind of stuff that you might as well just qualify as mythic actions. The only thing is she doesn't get any unique actions when that happens. It's just a function of when she goes down to 0 hit points. And then lastly, if we were to go, here's the morning after. This is the actual adventure itself, which is broken up into 5 separate parts. And then we have a whole appendix here, Friends and Foes, which is a whole bunch of new monster stat blocks. Now, some of these are the same. They're just reprinted for the purposes of having them here. We have the Burster Bug, which is a unique monster, but the Matriarch is basically the same stat block as an Assassin Bug, although it does have a stunning ability. There is one thing I wanted to show you in here, which is the Spider Horse. It is what it sounds like. It is a spider mixed with a horse. It can charge, it can climb up walls, and it also has 2 abilities that I really like. Sticky Leg, which if you get hit by it, you are stuck to its leg and grappled until it escapes, and it can grapple up to 4 people. And then a Sticky Trample, if you are stuck to it, you have to make a dexterity saving throw or fall prone, and then it can trample over you, dealing 3d8 bludgeoning plus 4 bludgeoning damage, and you're then restrained. It takes an action to break out of that. And there's a handful of other stat blocks here, like a Wargoyle, which I think is a gargoyle, although for some reason not an elemental. And then we have a young spider horse as well. And then here are those maps I was telling you about. So as you can see, they are high quality overhead battle maps that you could use again for this adventure if you need to. But some of these could be they're generic enough that they could be used in any campaign, really for any adventure. So there you go, folks. That is Dread Metrol Into the Mists, the brand new released DM's Guild supplement by Keith Baker. Again, if you're a fan of Eberron or Ravenloft, or specifically both, this is really the one for you. Yes, I realize it is $17.95, so that's a little pricier on the DM's Guild side of things, but my DM's Guild code, which I will link in the description from my last DM's Guild video, is still active as of this point, so you should, I think, be able to use that to get 10% off the order. I believe it's like Guild July or something like that. I'll put the code in the description if you want to go check that out. But Anyway, thank you, Keith Baker and team, for sending this over for review purposes, and I will see you all next time.